Will the business world after COVID-19 be different for women?
In 20 years from now, we're going to have what we call the jobless population. More and more, because robots and machines are taking over. And if you look at Japan, for instance, during COVID, they have used robots as nurses. So basically, robots are taking slowly our jobs, I would say. And especially now with the learning machine, with the brain machine. So we need to actually accept those changes and we need to adapt to them. Otherwise, in 20 years from now, some of you might be part of the jobless population. So this is something to kind of consider. So I think for me, it's not only about the change that is going to happen in the job market, it's about the reflection that we need to have as collectively, as a society for the future of our humanity.
Maguette, you want to add something else?
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm one of those people who I'm actually very excited to be getting into a world where robots are going to be taking so much space, actually. What I challenge people on is it's not going to be a jobless society. It's not going to be that. I think where we're moving into is a world in which robots are going to take all the menial work. You know, the work that takes a lot of time is quite repetitive. Once you've done it, you don't, you know, it's really like all of this work that the robots can take, like whether it's driving or cleaning your home or anything like that, please, robots, take it away and deal with it. What excites me about that is the fact that it's going to call all of us to actually have to call our humanity. Because that's really what's going to make the difference between us and robots. Us humans, we have this amazing ability to make sense of a world in a way that the most sophisticated computer or robot with the most sophisticated coding, really, we're nowhere anywhere close to any robot being able to make all the, you know, build all the neuronal relationships that, you know, a human being can do. Because for us, it's not just about the algorithm behind the scene, but there's also all of this stuff that's around you. So let me take an example. My husband and I are very much into education, and he's the Mr. Education by excellence. Technology is great. For EdTech is great in the sense that technology really does support the work that we do. But at the end of the day, the most important part is still being done by humans. So although we just started our virtual school, here in the US, that's also going to be, you know, we have students from around the world, actually. What we're finding is we use technology to help us with the work that doesn't need human intervention. Like, you know, sometimes when the kids are working on the math problems or they're working on some of the grammar issues, some of the softwares are really good to help them with that. But then when it comes down to the Socratic discussions, for example, which we are known for and at the heart of education that we provide, it has to be done with human being 101, even if it's over the internet. Also, this concept of coaching young people, just like, you know, entrepreneurs have coaches. So for me, I'm really excited of getting into this world where finally humans are going to have to be the humans that we were designed to be. And everybody's going to be doing their work. The robots do the work, and us humans do the part that no robot in the world can do. This human touch that we need so badly, no one can replace. So the nurses, so yes, in Japan, robots replace nurses here and there. That's great. Some of the functions can be replaced, but I am a firm believer that human beings, especially sick human beings, are always going to need a human touch and a human presence. So for me, that's the era I see ahead, an era where finally we're freed from the menial work, and we can go into becoming and being the full-blown human beings we've ever been. And I think it's just going to create better social health for all of us and more human happiness for all of us and flourishing. So that's what I see coming ahead.
I do see your point, and it's important to be positive, and it's important to kind of have this kind of, you know, exciting perspective of the future. I think where we kind of, you know, I agree with you is that the fact there is one thing that probably robots and machines are not going to replace in the future, which is the emotional intelligence. But when it comes to technology taking over jobs of humans, this is a serious threat. If you look in developing countries and underdeveloped countries, they are not going to be able to compete with the machine taking over. With machines, what's interesting is that we're going to have the new elites we're going to have, unfortunately, a lot of poverty. We should not look at it as a danger. We should look at it as a future reality, and we should work on it now to put the right plans.
So first of all, I think when you talk about emotional intelligence and saying that robots will not, we don't see a future in which the robots are going to have this emotional intelligence. I think there you're agreeing with me that humans still have a competitive edge over robots. Number two, your point of, oh, well, the people in the developing world are just going to suffer more. And that is because you would be accepting a principle upon which there is no way the global poor is going to be catching up with the rest of the world. And that's simply not something that people like me believe in. I don't believe in this world where we're going to keep on having the haves and the have-nots. If you look at places like the Human Progress, which is a very reputable place, we have this tendency of always thinking that the world is getting worse and worse and worse off. Absolutely not. This is the best time and day in the history for me to be a Black woman walking on this earth, period. And on that, if you want to have a deeper debate, let's go there. We can have it. So I believe in the ability of humans to really figure it out as we go. That's what we do. That's what we're designed for. So let's go back to your developing world people and saying, oh, when the robots are taking their job. What I'm talking about the need for humans to have human connection. For example, we make, this is one of the products we make in Africa. You could have this be made by a robot coming out by the millions from the machine every single day. But guess what? We are competing and very successfully making this product all handmade. We're competing against companies who are making it by the robots. And our customers want this product better over those because this has a soul for them. This has a soul for them. So we can decide in which directions is it that do we go. And then your other point about it's an elitist world where, AI and the artificial intelligence and the robotics and all of this concept of skill sets based around, technological knowledge is going to create more inequality among the world. I'm like, no, we need to, again, realize that humans, sometimes you need to leapfrog. See, in Africa, for example, most of our people never had to know the phone landlines. Why? Because by the time they got to where they got to, the cell phones has taken over everywhere. Banking. How many Africans will never know what it is to be traditionally banked? Because we're beyond that. It's over. Happily, gladly. So in our situation, for example, when you say, it's going to be an elite thing, no, then what does it mean? Maybe it means that also at the education level, we have to rethink what is it that we're teaching young people. And that's, for example, one thing we do. Our academy is out there teaching kids who, before we ever reach them, have never even touched a computer. They come from the most poorest part of the population. And guess what? These kids are being positioned tomorrow to be part of a 21st century job market where they're going to be among those who can also go ahead and code which robot is going to be doing what. So I am a firm believer in the resilience of the human nature and the human capacity and capabilities. And I am not giving up on making sure that everybody thrives and thrives together. I believe there's an opportunity here for a rising tide. Are we going to be able to make it all happen at once? Absolutely not. But do we have what it takes to get there? I believe so. So call me a radical optimist. I do think that history has proven me right in terms of our ability to progress as humans. But that's just what I would have to say on what you just said.